when we're talking about taking our computer and optimizing it for different situations, we sometimes have a computer that we may want to use, but we don't really know what its specifications are. We don't know what it's running, or how or what version its BIOS is, or how much RAM it's using, or its maximum RAM specifications. So how do we find that information? Well, there are a couple tools that we can download and use, but there are already built-in tools into Windows that allow us to run that and find out that information. To essentially evaluate our current computer's specifications. One place we can find this information is going to be in our BIOS setup. One of the common keys for getting into your BIOS setup is going to be the F2 key that you press right as you're turning on your computer. This can vary depending on the computer manufacturer, and a lot of times it'll show up when you're starting your computer. It'll say press blank key for setup, press escape, press F2, whichever key. If you're having a hard time seeing it right when the computer boots up, a lot of times you can find it in the specific computer motherboard manual, or you can check online if you can boot up your computer and search by your make and your model, or your BIOS version, or rather your make and your model if you're trying to get into your BIOS setup in order to figure out which key you need to press right as your computer's booting up. Now this BIOS setup will give us information such as our RAM speed, our RAM type, which slots are used, our processor speed, our processor type. Very useful information when we're trying to determine what sort of purposes we can use that computer for, and if we need to upgrade or if we need to make changes before we use it for certain applications. Once we're inside our computer, there are a couple places that we can check as well for this information. We can use DXDiag or MS-info32. And these would both be commands that you would just press your start button and then click run, or hold the Windows key and press R, and it would bring up your run box, and you can just type in DXDiag or MS-info32, press enter, and you'll get a lot of this system info, your operating system info, BIOS version, your RAM information. You may also be able to check out your device manager or disk information and disk partitions. Your device manager will give you information such as which type of devices you have connected to your computer, which have been connected before, and installed drivers onto your computer that you can use. If you need to roll back certain drivers, you can check in your device manager if a certain particular device or particular piece of hardware that you have in your computer you updated the driver for and it's no longer running correctly. You may be able to roll back that driver in order to get it running properly again. Your disk information will give you the options to partition your disks, to use them in separate ways, or create separate logical partitions from one physical disk. And the disk partition, the disk information will give you good information as far as speeds of how much data is being used on that disk, how much you have left, and if you have the opportunity to possibly reformat a disk and use it for a different purpose. So as we can see, our BIOS setup and our DXDiag and our MS-info32 are all very powerful tools in helping us to determine our computer specifications and in order to find out information about our computer. So thank you for joining us today at cybrary.it. My name is Anthony, and we've just gone over a lot of information about how to set up your computer and how to get the optimal performance for different uses for your computer, everything from graphic design workstations to thin net clients to home servers. So hopefully this information was very useful to you, and you'll be able to go out and use that on your own computers, and hopefully you'll join us next time for more information here at cybrary.it.